I swear by the Almighty God.
I swear by the Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give to this commission.
That the evidence I shall give to this commission.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing.
And nothing.
But the truth.
But the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Could you kindly state your names, please?
Fahari Jammeh.
Where do you live, Mr. Jammeh?
Farato.
You worked in the government?
Yes.
In what capacity?
Solicitor General Legal Secretary.
You also worked in the judiciary?
Sorry?
You also worked in the judiciary?
In the?
Judiciary?
Yes, in the judiciary, yes.
In what capacity?
Sheriff of the High Court.
Sheriff of the
Sheriff
High
of the Gambia, yes. And also as magistrate.
Would you like to sit down, Mr. Jammeh?
Thank you.
Jammeh, I would like to show you Exhibit SC35, which is a joint venture agreement between the Republic of the Gambia and Galia Holdings Limited, dated 5th March 2011. And I would like you to pay particular attention to the signature page.
All right.
And to confirm whether you had anything to do with this agreement.
Very well, that's my signature.
That's your signature?
Yes.
You signed the agreement?
Yes, I did, and it's dated the 5th of March 2011.
Right. Mr. Jammeh, how did you come to sign this agreement?
Well, I was part of a delegation that left the Gambia for Greece. I remember vividly, I had just returned from an official trip, and I was at the airport. This was on a Friday, when I got a call to say that I was supposed to leave the Sunday of on a Sunday as part of a delegation to go to Greece and negotiate ferries.
Where was the call from?
The call was somebody who was a member of the delegation. I can't remember who, but I was told that I was nominated to go to Greece as part of a delegation to negotiate for ferries.
You can't remember who? Do you
I can't remember who, but I think it was a member of the delegation. And then I was at the airport.
A member of the delegation from which institution?
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Who were part of the delegation that went?
The delegation, if my memory serves me right, was headed by the then Minister of Finance, Honorable Keba Toure. Then he was in Spain. Mr. Sabali was there from, Honorable Sabali, Mudu Sabali was there, representing the Ministry of Finance. Also, we had somebody from GPA, whose name I cannot remember, somebody from the ferries, and somebody from the Office of the President.
Okay, my question was, how did you come to sign the agreement? So
well, I signed the document because we were given a directive. We were asked to sign.
By we, what do you mean?
The trip to Greece was a camouflage of the reality. It was a camouflage of the reality in the sense that the parties were already at consensus at the dam. We went to negotiate. The impression I had was that we were going to Greece to negotiate for ferries. Upon arrival, I think it was the next day, I was asked to go and see the lawyers on the other side, the lawyers representing the Greek investors, the so-called Greek investors. We went, we discussed, in fact, I think I first came across the agreement in itself on the plane. We went, I had discussions with the lawyers on the other side. Then we all converged, was it the next day or the following day? I can't remember specifically when. But a directive came through from the Office of the President to say that the President had asked us to sign, had given the go-ahead for us to sign before returning home, the former President.
Right. You said you saw the agreement for the first time on the plane.
Yeah, if my memory serves me right, yeah.
Do you recollect how you came to see the agreement?
I think somebody gave it to me. A member of the delegation gave it to me.
Can you recollect who gave it to you?
I think it was Mr. Guy. He represented the ferries, yeah. Mr. Guy.
You hadn't seen the agreement before that?
Sorry? I doubt it. I doubt it very much.
Did you make any changes or
I think
amendments?
I did. I think
to
I
the
did.
agreement?
Yes. And I gave my opinion. I think I did. We looked at it, we all discussed it, and some changes were made. Specific changes I can't remember.
Okay, you were all on the way to Greece.
We were all on the way to Greece, yes.
Where were these changes made?
Well, some discussions, as a group we had our own meetings. We discussed the document, we did raise our concerns. We looked at the document. When I went to the lawyer's office, I did also raise some concerns. Some of the clauses were changed, etc., etc. But very specifics I can't remember.
Right, now you said you received a directive to sign.
Yes. We were told by the head of the delegation or somebody from the president's office that the president had asked us, the former president had asked that we sign before returning home. So this is why I said earlier that the trip to Greece was a camouflage of the reality. It was a camouflage of the reality that because our trip was a trip organized or designed to give it some semblance of legitimacy. But this was a done deal. The parties were already in agreement. That was why I said there was a consensus at the time.
Okay. When you say the parties were already in agreement, we know on the one side we had the Greeks, on the other side we had the Gambia government comprising if I may finish, Mr. Jammeh.
Sorry?
I say if I may finish, we had on the other side the Gambian delegation. So when you say it was a done deal, was a done deal by which parts of
the Gambian delegation could not say much on the deal. There was no room to maneuver. You could not vary the agreement radically in the sense that my understanding is that these investors had been in the Gambia a couple of times and they had had meetings with the former president.
So when you say a done deal, what can you be specific? A done deal between the Greeks and who?
Maybe the former president.
Okay. All right. Now you
could I just say something?
Yes, you can.
Because when you say you are going out there to negotiate, I would have expected it's going to be back and forth. That we would go, they would come, and we would sit down, vary document, etc., etc. But that did not occur. So that's why I said it was a done deal.
Very well. Now, in relation to the agreement, why was it you who had to? Okay, you witnessed.
No, I signed.
Mr. Halliday signed and you witnessed. Was there anything you saw that authorized Mr. Guy to sign?
Well, he represented. I think he signed because he represented the ferries at the time. I think that was why he signed. Not because he was head of the delegation, no. But because I think he was coming from that unit. That was why he had to sign on behalf of government.
Do you recollect who was representing the office of the president?
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
I don't think that, all I know is that the guy who represented the office of the office of the president at the time is no longer in government. He was sacked at some point. I can't remember who.
Okay. How can you remember he was sacked if you can't remember who?
I know he's no longer in the system. I know he was sacked at some point. I can't remember when.
You can't remember who?
No, I can't. I can't remember.
As you know, this was a very expensive venture, it turns out, for the entire government.
It was later I came to know that it was an expensive venture. I did not even know the amount of money involved. At the time we were negotiating.
The ferries never operated because
I never saw the ferries, ma. I never saw the ferries. Upon arrival in Greece, I was taken to the lawyer's office.
You didn't go with the delegation?
I did it.
Mr. Jammeh?
Yes.
You didn't even hear my question.
Okay.
You didn't go with the delegation that inspected the ferries?
I didn't go with the delegation that inspected the ferries.
You just went to the lawyer's office?
That's right.
Do you remember who specifically told you that you had to sign this document?
A directive came. I think it was a representative from the, not me to sign, but then I signed because I was a legal advisor. I went there in my capacity as legal advisor to the government. And then Ali Guy signed because he was he was representing the ferries. So I signed as a witness. And anybody could have signed as part of the delegation.
As you know, Mr. Jammeh, legal advisors normally don't witness documents. Was there any reason why you would advise on the document and sign as a witness?
I can't remember.
You can't recall?
It never occurred to me at the time, yeah.
Now, I was asking you really regarding the the ferries themselves. It turned out they were not suitable for Gambian waters, and as a result, they were never used. The issue of suitability of the ferries for use in Gambian waters, did it come up whilst you were on this delegation in Greece?
No.
It
I can't
didn't come
remember,
up.
no.
Do you remember any specific concerns being raised by any member of the delegation about these ferries?
We were not happy. I think generally we were not happy with the way and manner we went about being instructed to go ahead and sign, because I was under the mistaken impression that we were going to go back and forth, but that never happened.
When you say we generally were not happy, can you be more specific?
I think that included myself, the likes of Honorable Sabal, etc., yeah.
What is the sector, etc.? This is a...
Well, and some others whose name I cannot remember, but I remember vividly it was an issue I discussed with Honorable Sabal.
What were you not happy about? Just
The
the
way and
backward
manner
and
we were,
forward?
sorry?
Yes, carry on.
The way and manner we were instructed to sign, because I was under the impression that we were going to negotiate for ferries. Come back, write a report, etc., but that never happened.
How long did you serve as Solicitor General?
Well, I think I was there for what, about 2-3 years? I can't remember the specific dates.
You can't remember the
No.
dates. When you went in, this agreement was in 2011.
Yes.
Yes.
I was appointed SG, was it sometime in July? In July of, no, I can't remember. Specifically, I can't remember.
Okay. I would like you to check your records so that for the record we have your service as Solicitor General of the government of
But
the
I
Gambia.
know at the time of this agreement, I was the SG then.
Yes, we would like you to confirm the period which you served as Solicitor General.
All right.
Apart from this agreement, Mr. Jammeh, what other agreement did you sign on behalf of the government?
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
No, I can't remember.
2011 is not a long time ago.
I can't remember. It is. I can't remember.
Did you represent?
I don't think I was. Maybe, but I don't think so.
The Solicitor General's office advises government on transactions.
Yes.
Do you recollect advising government or the office of the president on any other transactions while you were Solicitor General?
Well, we have done numerous. Could you be more specific? Because as SG, obviously, you would do numerous things for government. So could you be more specific?
Yes, I was specific in relation to the office of the president.
Well, I can't remember.
You can't remember?
No.
All right. Let's deal with your period as Sheriff of the High Court.
Yes.
How long were you Sheriff of the High Court for?
Sorry?
How long were you Sheriff of the High Court for?
For about 2-3 years or so.
Okay, we would like you to be specific also.
I can't be specific.
To provide.
What I would do is forward a copy of my CV maybe to the panel to look at, but I can't remember dates offhand, no.
Yes, but you were presumably appointed by letter?
Yes.
And when you left, you were written to when you left.
Yes.
Could you check those letters and confirm the period you served as Sheriff of the High Court? We would also like you to provide a list of properties, if any, that were purchased by the Office of the President, or the Kanilai group of companies whilst you were Sheriff.
I am no longer in that office, so I don't have copies of some of these documents.
Yes. You're a witness of the commission. Tell us what you remember.
Well, what I remember vividly now, what actually stands out, it's a property that was purchased by the former president, and that is that has to do with the Mahoney estate. The Mahoney estate. That was one such property that was purchased to the sheriff's office.
When you say the Mahoney estate, what does it comprise of?
To be more specific, these are properties belonging to the Mahoney family. And these are properties in Banjul. I think there is a landed property in, is it Wellington or so, that was purchased by the former president, yes, to the sheriff. That's what I can remember.
All right. As you leave, could you just give us, I won't keep you, unless the commissioners have questions for you, but we would like to have your tenure in office, in both offices.
I will. I'll drop a copy of my CV.
And certainly we will be inviting you back in relation to the period of your tenure.
All right, okay.
But could you submit the period to the Secretariat?
As the court, please. Yes.
Very well. Mr. Chairman, those are the questions I have for Mr. Jammeh for now. The commissioners may have other questions.
Mr. Jammeh?
Yes.
In your capacity as SG and legal advisor, are you not supposed to advise government on contracts, especially transactions like acquiring ferries?
Yes. That's one of my functions, yes.
So in signing that document as a witness,
yes,
you didn't have time to go through and tell them? When you say there's no room to maneuver, are you saying your advice was not welcome in this case?
Our advice was not welcome in this instance, because in the first place we were not given room to advise. Because ordinarily, one would have thought that we would come back, write a report, and send the report to OP. But that never occurred.
Okay, so in appending your signature, you are saying you go ahead.
That's one way of looking at it. But look at the bigger picture. We've been given instructions to go ahead and sign before returning.
You were instructed to go and sign?
Whilst there, a call came through that we must sign this agreement, that we must go ahead with the agreement.
Okay, and you decide where to sign or not sign?
Well, I remember everybody out there was saying, okay, you sign as witness, and I signed.
So in doing that, did you give away your integrity as a legal advisor?
I wouldn't look at it that way. Let me say this. The former president was a demigod. Was a demigod. Saw himself as a demigod. And you are not one such person who would say no to instructions to sign.
But you are a lawyer. You are learned enough to know that that theory of demigod is a myth. You can refute the myth. Let me learn. You, SG, you were second in line to the Attorney General. You can't profess that view that he was a demigod. You were learned enough to know that that myth didn't exist. And in asking for your signature via directive, you reserve the right to decline, not to sign. Because when you went there, what you found out was different to expectation. So you didn't sign because he was a demigod. You signed because you agreed to the deal.
That's one way of looking at it. But look at the broader picture.
Tell me the broader picture.
The broader picture is that we are given a directive to sign. You dare not say no to an executive directive.
So as the legal advisor and Secretary General, you ignore the law with your knowledge of the Constitution?
I did not ignore the law.
Okay.
At the time, I did not ignore the law in the sense that if you look at this agreement holistically, I don't think there is anything on the face of it that is grossly detrimental to the Gambia government. Okay. It's only that we've not gone forward. We've not been given time to look at this document in totality, fine-tune it, and come up with recommendations that would have been desirable. But
so that's why I asked.
Sorry?
That's why I asked.
Yes, we were.
When you were signing, did you overlook certain things you should have done as SG?
I don't think I would say I did overlook. Ordinarily, I would not have signed. If the directive had not come through, I would not have signed.
So then, was it constitutional for that directive to come, despite the fact that it came from somebody or from an office that had no technical competence to decide which type of ferries should be bought? Well, in your capacity as SG, could you tell us that directive, whether or not that directive was constitutional?
The directive was not proper. It was not proper. It wasn't constitutional. In the sense that if you identify a group of people and you give them a responsibility, you assign them with work to do, you must give them time to do their work. But that was not the case in this scenario.
So you see, the sad thing is, as a lawyer, right, if you are obliged by a directive to act in a way that ordinarily you wouldn't act, how would the rest of the civil service act? if a lawyer, an
I
SG,
think you were taking this out
do you
of
understand?
context.
Do you understand my question?
Yeah. With all due respect, I think you were taking this out of context. I perfectly understand what you are trying to put forward. I understand.
So help me understand.
No,
Maybe I'm missing something.
Okay.
You are the legal advisor to government.
Yes.
If you sign because of a directive, the rest of the civil service, what are they supposed to do?
As a witness to the agreement. As a witness to the agreement.
You append your signature.
I agree.
It carries your mark, your
agree.
integrity at stake. So I've moved on from you.
Okay.
Now I'm saying, as the advisor, if you are obliged to sign because of directives, what's the rest of the civil service supposed to do?
Well,
follow the same thing?
No, I think you have to look at the context in which the signature was made.
Tell me, what's the context?
The context is that this was pursuant to a directive.
It didn't mean much. Your signature didn't mean
Well,
much.
I had no choice, and that's why I signed, because I was.
No, I'm asking, did your signature mean much to you when you appended it?
Obviously, it does.
It meant a lot.
It does.
But you seem to be downplaying it right now.
No, I'm not downplaying it. What I'm saying is, this is why I began by saying that there was already a meeting of the minds. This agreement was, with or without our signature, with or without us signing the document, this agreement was going to go, government was going to go on with this agreement, because those were the instructions that the president had given to the Greek guys.
But you said the group that visited Greece
Yes.
was the means to legitimize the deal. So if there was a possibility that some of you didn't sign, that deal would take a longer time.
Maybe we would not have returned. We would not have returned to the Gambia.
Or there was that risk.
Yes.
Your life was at stake.
If we had not followed the directive,
Even you as the SG.
Oh yes.
Thank you.
I think you made mention of the Mahoney estate in
Yes.
Banjul.
Yes.
I believe you said it was sold through the
officer
sheriff.
said yes.
Was there a court case that led to the sale?
I can't remember. I can't remember, but I can cross-check and let you know.
It's all right. Who bought the property?
The former president.
Was the sale by public auction or by private treaty?
I think it was by private treaty.
Who represented, if any, who represented the president,
The Mahoney's were
the ex-president?
represented by.
No, I mean the ex-president.
Sorry.
The ex-president,
Yes.
President Jammeh, who bought?
Yes.
I say, who represented him?
It was through the sheriff, so it was represented by the sheriff, through the office of the sheriff.
I see. But the sheriff was,
Sorry.
I said the sheriff was
Yes.
responsible for the sale.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
In other words, you as sheriff,
Yes.
you sold the property
Yes.
to President Jammeh.
Yes.
Now, what I mean by representative is this. Did the president send somebody to you to take care of the sale? That's what I mean. Or did he come himself?
No, he didn't come himself. I can't remember, because all I know is that it either has to do with a court case. There have been instances where the president would see an advertisement in the newspapers and then call the office of send people to the office of the sheriff to buy some of these properties. There are some instances where individuals, private citizens, would write to the office of the president offering properties for sale. These are the two scenarios, two instances I know of. Right. Yes. But I know with the Mahoney estate, there were lawyers on the other side, and then these sales were done.
You mean the president was represented by a lawyer?
I can't, no, I mean the Mahoney family was represented by a lawyer.
I'm not talking of the Mahoney family.
Yes.
I'm only interested in the president, the ex-president.
Yes.
Do you know of any person who ever represented him in the sale of properties by the sheriff?
Yes.
Who?
Mr. Amadou Samba.
I see. It's all right. That will be all. That will be all.
Just as a follow-up, did he represent him in the sale of the Mahoney estate? Mr. Samba represented
I can't remember that particular one. I can't remember.
So when you say you know Mr. Samba represented the president in sales, what exactly do you mean then?
I know that there are properties he has brought to Mr. Samba.
Sorry?
I know there are properties he has bought through Mr. Samba.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you able to remember those properties?
I think if given time, I would.
Okay.
I could cross-check, just to be on the safe side. Allow me to cross-check and let you know.
Very well. There's just one question I would like to ask you about the composition of the delegation.
Yes.
I know several people in the Ministry of Justice had been sent to do masters in maritime law. At the time this delegation was constituted, did you avert your mind to the necessity of having a maritime lawyer as part of the delegation?
Like I said earlier on, I had just returned from an official trip somewhere. I can't remember where. I was at the airport when I was told that I've been nominated to be part of a delegation to go on this particular trip. I never knew where Greece was in the first place. Why me, I don't know. And we left, this was on a Friday. I had arrived on a Friday to leave on Sunday. And that was how I went.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jammeh. I don't have any
further. Mr. Jammeh.
Yes.
On the sheriff sales.
Yeah.
For the properties acquired by the president.
Yes.
In your experience, were they done at market value, fair market value?
Well, if the sheriff is selling, there is usually a valuation. And then we are always guided by the valuation. And that goes across the board for everybody. Now, where the sale is by private treaty, they negotiate prices. They negotiate. He negotiates with the parties who want to sell.
So, were they done? Are you aware of those?
Some of them are done at market value. Some of them are not.
Done at market value?
Yes.
You will be able to get those that were not done at fair market value?
Based on records? I would not. But
can you direct us where?
Yeah, I could direct, yeah.
You can direct?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
Just to say that you'll be required to come back. We'll give you 1 week.
That's fine, yeah.
On Monday the 20th. With the information, can you check?
May I respectfully apologize? I should be in Basel that whole week.
Could you come on Thursday? Are we sitting on
Thursday the 23rd? This Thursday?
This Thursday, preferably. We are trying to close some of these issues.
This Thursday is a bad day. Could I respectfully ask that how about Thursday the 23rd?
Mr. Chairman, I think that's convenient for us.
At 2 o'clock?
At 2:30, we sit at 2:30.
2:30.
Thursday the 23rd?
Yes.
No, you'd have to come at 11 o'clock. We don't sit in the afternoons. Okay. Or 12, latest 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may leave. You may leave.
Thank you.
I recall Mr. Momodu Baji, former Managing Director of GNPC.